What's up, guys? As you all probably know, something like the Game Boy Advance here, they don't use mechanical switches in their buttons. At least not most of them. The L and R buttons are mechanical switches. The face buttons, the start and select, and the D-pad are all what are known as membrane buttons. What that means is that there's a bit of rubber underneath these buttons that squishes when you press it down, which bridges two contacts underneath the button to make the console realize that the button has been pressed. The problem with that is over time, the little rubber membrane starts to wear down and it gets mushier and mushier and mushier. And I have that very thing happening with here. The D-pad here just feels kind of gross. The start and select buttons don't feel great, and the start button even sticks. Listen. So I went on eBay and I found some new membranes for the Game Boy Advance, so I can hopefully get this guy back to playing like it should. So I thought it'd be a good idea to make a video about it and show you how to replace those rubber membranes underneath all these buttons. I'm going to do it for my Game Boy Color as well, but the method is basically the same. So I'm going to show you on this guy, and then if you need to do it for a Game Boy Color or a Game Boy Pocket or a DMG, you can just follow the same similar steps and you'll get the same result. So let's come over to the table and let's do it. All right, let's do it. Now, luckily, there's actually no soldering required to do this. It is just open this guy up, remove the board, and replace the membranes. You will, however, still need a screwdriver. Game Boy Advance has the tri-wing screws on the back of it, so you will need both a tri-wing screwdriver and a regular Phillips screwdriver. A Y1 and then a Phillips 0 are what you need. So let's just get this bad boy apart. Obviously, you will need to have the batteries out of it, and actually underneath the battery door is another screw, and it's kind of weird. They put the tri-wing screws on the outside of the body, but underneath the battery door, they put a regular Phillips bit. I just find that very odd. And then once you have all those screws free, the back falls right off, and you're left with the Game Boy Advance, or at least the internals of the Game Boy Advance. There we go, I got the screws out. So that way they're all out of the way. The L and R buttons, they are just little like axle pieces. That's all that's really holding them in place whenever the thing's closed. So when one side of it's off, you can just pull them right out. Same with these little gray bits on the side. They all just come right out, and then you can get them out of the way and don't have to worry about it again. Now to take this guy apart, there are 3 screws that you have to remove, and it's odd that there are 3 because you have one all the way over here and then 1, 2 right here next to each other. I'm curious why they didn't have 4 or just 2, but I guess because this is where the D-pad is, so you're going to be putting a lot of like rotating pressure here, so that might be why they opted for 2 on that side and just 1. Ooh, what was that? Oh, that was your power switch. Don't lose that. And don't forget to put it back in when you're done. Now, much like the Game Boy Color, it has the same general mechanism for holding the ribbon cable for the screen in place. See this like tannish piece here? It's got these gray bits on either side of it. You push those gray bits up towards the top of the console. They release, and that frees the ribbon cable. So you can just wiggle it out. And when those screws are free, and without that ribbon cable in place, that just falls right away. And there are your membranes. And that's exactly what we're here to replace. And luckily, there's nothing special holding these in place. It's usually just wrapped around a little bit of plastic just to hold them, just to keep them from moving side to side. You just pull it out and completely pull it away. And then you're left with the D-pad on this side and the A and B buttons over here. The membrane actually is the start and select button, so there's no actual like button for you to press on that one. So let's get our new membrane. Drop each one of those right in place. And there we go. And while I have it apart, I'm going to go ahead and take some isopropyl alcohol to these contact points just to make sure that they're nice and clean. And in fact, I'm going to take all these buttons out and clean in and around the buttons. Because like, look at where that D-pad is. That's kind of dirty. So, yeah, never hurts to take care of your stuff, you know? let's put this bad boy back together. Don't forget your switch. You will be oh so annoyed if you get it all back together. You try to start it, and there's no switch to turn the dang thing on. Ask me how I know that. Let's see just how it feels. Oh, that feels really good. I got a much better like feeling against the on the D-pad. Like it's a much like harder to press now, which gives you a bit more. I don't want to say it's much harder to press, but it is harder to press now, which gives you a bit more feedback whenever you're doing. Start button doesn't stick, nor does the select button. The A button and B button feel just as good as ever. Awesome. So yeah, that's how you replace the membranes underneath these buttons in the Game Boy Advance. And I have to say, I'm very glad I did. It feels a lot more now like how I used to remember it being. And I'm sure some of you saw that melted screen right there. Don't worry, we're gonna be fixing that in a video soon, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I do look forward to bringing you even more videos like this as the days go on. So again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one, y'all.